It's time for some more unlearning, and today, 50% of marriages end in divorce. Or do they? Nope. First of all, it's a dumb thing to measure. Until the 1970s, divorce laws were very different, so really, it would have been a measurement of what percentage of couples are trapped in bad situations. Also, it's a dumb statistic because it doesn't take into consideration length, so the couple that held hands while the water came in on the Titanic counts exactly the same as someone who got hit by a bus on their honeymoon. Oh, but also, it doesn't take into consideration overachievers. Some people are really good at getting divorced, and if you stay married forever, you only get to count for one, but if someone gets divorced 5 times, they get to be counted 5 times. But even given all of those caveats to the statistic, no one actually bothered to measure because it would be too hard. The way you'd actually do this is you would track every single marriage that's ever happened, and you'd sort them into 3 buckets: still going, death did us part, and oopsie doodle. And the reason you can't do that is because that's too much data. A group of people put together the statistic, and you might be wondering, did they have a political agenda? Ha ha ha, of course. And what they did was the lazy math. They took the number of people who got married this year and the number of people who divorced this year, and they compared them. And those are obviously dumb numbers because those are mostly not the same people. You're basically saying that 50% of apples end in oranges. And now the craziest part? It's not even 50. If you do their bad math on their made-up numbers, you get 32%. That's the current rate. So we as a society need to split up with the 50-50 myth. Some of you didn't know that bamboo sheets are kind of a lie, so it's time for some unlearning. The thing marketed as bamboo fabric is mostly rayon. And you can see why they changed the name, because rayon is scary, like X-rays or crayon. But bamboo sounds lovely. 4 out of 5 pandas agree. It does start with bamboo. That much is true, but there's 2 reasons you should be immediately suspicious. 1, bamboo is the quintessential greenwashing word now. And 2, bamboo is a hard stick, so you know it's gonna take some work. So what you're gonna do is, you're gonna shred it, dissolve it in lye, and then mix it with carbon disulfide until you've got this forbidden honey. Then you're gonna shoot it at very high pressure through very tiny holes into sulfuric acid, which will line up the molecules into thread. Then you take that remaining toxic sludge, throw it in the river, and laugh all the way to the bank. It's not great, and as usual, the biggest risks are to the factory workers who are handling the acids and breathing the carbon disulfide fumes. But it's far from the only bad textile. Cotton uses an unconscionable amount of water, polyester is made of dinosaur goo mixed with ethylene glycol, and taking their wool makes sheep look ridiculous. At this point, it seems like buying ethical textiles might be impossible unless you're buying used clothes or wearing a barrel with suspenders like an old-timey cartoon. But the thing I hate the most is trying to trick us by calling it bamboo. It's like if the oil companies changed the name of crude oil to algae goo. Like, yeah, there's algae in it a long time ago. But with these sheets, 4 out of 5 pandas agree, this is bullshit. Let's do a quick unlearning to boost your media literacy. When you see a headline about a hilarious, massive lawsuit over something entirely frivolous, you might think, oh, the system is broken, and you're right. But not the lawsuit system, the news system. News outlets love to do stories about huge, silly lawsuits, like about how Subway doesn't have enough tuna in its tuna sandwiches. Or the people who kidnapped Lady Gaga's dog are suing because she wouldn't give them the reward for finding her dog. Or that Kraft should pay $5 million to somebody who claims that their mac and cheese doesn't actually cook in 3.5 minutes. But the thing is, filing a dumb lawsuit doesn't mean anything if the lawsuit gets dismissed. Like, anybody can just pay a couple $100 and fill out a piece of paper to say that they're suing somebody because the judges will just throw it out. And that's what happened in all 3 of those cases I just showed you. And the most eye-catching part is the money, right? Like the $5 million for slow mac and cheese. But that number is based on nothing. It's just pulled at great expense out of a lawyer's ass. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have anything to do with how much you'll actually win if you win. And even if you do win, that amount has very little to do with how much you'll actually get paid because the system has a lot of checks and balances and all of them favor corporations. So anytime you see one of these stories, I want you to remember what you're actually seeing is a report that a person paid $400 to get their name in the paper briefly and then have their lawsuit dismissed faster than it takes to make mac and cheese. Let's unlearn something together. MSG is not bad for you. People are just racist. So monosodium glutamate is a salt and an amino acid, and it makes food taste tasty. It was originally synthesized from seaweed by a Japanese scientist who was looking for a way to add umami or unctuousness to food, and it works extremely well, and so it became popular in Americanized Chinese food. In the 60s, a doctor who ate too much Chinese food got a headache and speculated in print that perhaps it was the MSG, even though MSG occurs naturally in tomatoes and Parmesan cheese, and he never wrote about how he got a headache when he had too much pasta sauce. rats. Scientists researched it and clearly showed that it had no ill effects, but it was too late, mass hysteria took hold, and a bunch of people claimed to get mysterious magical symptoms from eating too much Chinese food, like tingles and jitteriness. I should point out that while studies consistently showed no problems from humans eating MSG, they did show that there were some problems when they injected MSG directly into the brains of rats, which proves that scientists are very weird and hate rats. I'm not going out on a limb here. This has been debunked for ages, but people are still writing Yelp reviews about how a restaurant gave them MSG jitters. And that's sad because it means we're missing out on a lot of good umami tastiness because companies have to cater to a small group of people who have little tiny rat brains that act as if they've recently been injected directly with yum powder. More unlearning. Facebook is not spying on your phone's audio. TikTok is not listening to you through your phone. And I'm not saying they wouldn't. Every chance a big tech company has had to do the wrong thing, they've jumped on it. They're not doing it because they can't. They would have to take the audio 24 hours a day from every single user's phone and upload and store it without anybody noticing. At that scale, you're talking about an incredible amount of data. They would have to identify everybody's unique voice and filter out all background noise, process this unbelievable amount of data into transcript, sort that to only products that are currently being advertised, and then boom, charge slightly more. The funniest part to me is the belief that they could tell what you're actually saying. For my videos, I use automatic text transcription, and I have to correct words in every single sentence. And that's one voice, speaking clearly into a professional microphone. And it has to be accurate. If it thinks I said, I want a Casper mattress, but what I actually said is, I've got a kiss for Matt's ass, then it's wasting time and money telling Casper and not telling Matt. He deserves to know. I think the reason this myth is so pervasive is because the true answer sucks. The actual answer is that it's just a coincidence. I know, it's a terrible answer, but it's actually what's happening. Most ads are super irrelevant to you, and so you just have a little ad blocker in your brain where you don't see them. You probably saw that same mattress ad every day for a year, but the day you discussed a mattress and then you saw it, you're like, they really got me figured out. Now, I have to go. I have a lot of important things to work out with Matt.